Welcome to the VarsityKansas.com Big Show. I'm Joanna Chadwick of the Wichita Eagle and VarsityKansas.com. We are taping here at KSN. And my guest today is Garden Plain football coach Brad McCormick. Thanks for being here, Coach.
It's good to be here.
All right, well, let's talk a little bit. I wanted to jump right into the big question here about when you got this job. And this is a program that is so traditionally strong. How was that? I mean, the expectations have got to be so high.
Yeah, they are, and you know the community's expectations as well as the kids and the people in the town. You know, they know what should be each year, and you know we as coaches know what we've got, and but the expectations, you know, throughout the summer, what are we going to do? How are we going to do it? You know, it was high, and but I knew that going into it.
Well, and you've been in the program for a lot of years, too. I mean, that kind of eases the transition, doesn't it?
Yes and no. As an assistant, you don't think about it near as much as you do when you're the head coach, and then all of a sudden, you know, all right, now you have the pressure of, you know, the big game coming up this week and prepping from day to day, and even on the weekends, you know, getting the coaches together and breaking down film and, you know, finding out the weaknesses and strengths. So.
Yeah, that's pretty fascinating. Let's talk a little bit about the running game. You can always count on Garden Plain football to have a great running game, and you are right there again this year. Let's talk about some of those guys.
You know, we've had, I think, 5 guys this year, and like I said, I can remember 4 now. But Ethan Balstracci, Wyatt Lehner, Grant Lehner, Mitchell Hilger, they've all had games over 100 yards, and you know, with others, multiple guys, you know, our quarterbacks have had, you know, 75 yards. It's something that they know that they've just got to be able to do, and I think they relish in that time when they are able to support and help the team in that manner.
Well, and it's always different sorts of guys, too. I mean, it's going to be the guy who can bust it up the middle, the kid who can go around the outside. Do they complement each other pretty well?
This year, and even in the past, you know, last year we were very good at complementing. We had some speed around the outside, and we've got some this year as well. We've got kids that, you know, between the tackles, outside the tackles, even outside, you know, with the sweeps. And, you know, usually we just try to, I just try to call what the defense has given us. And, you know, if it's in the middle, that's obviously where we're going to go. And if it's on the outside, we're going to try to take advantage of that.
Well, talk a little bit, too, about your defense with the secondary. You said you had really good pass defense this year.
Yeah, we really have. I think we've got a new group of guys. We lost, you know, 4, so we're replacing 4. And the kids that have come in, they know what to expect. And Coach Geegan does a great job with those guys and getting them prepared week in and week out. But, you know, I think they have only gotten better each week. You know, we've had Troy Pitts at corner. We've had a kid, Mitchell Hilger, Jordan Joplin, just some kids that have really gotten better week in and week out, and they're starting to understand and getting the feel of the game.
Well, that's great. Well, let's talk injuries. I mean, the coaches that I've had on the show, it's like last week with Dan Adelhart, they had multiple injuries over there at Capon, and you guys too. You had your 4th quarterback in the game?
Yeah. You know, you can kind of laugh about it because that's the only way to go about it right now. Our last week we had our starting quarterback who's a sophomore. He broke his fibula, and then we had a backup quarterback, Troy Pitts, came in and, you know, rushed for 75 yards in a quarter and a half, and then breaks his fibula. Then our 3rd quarterback, Wyatt, he goes in and, you know, gets so many reps and he's cramping up. So, you know, it comes down to, okay, who do we have left, and just to get some snaps, you know, and at least try to attempt to run the offense.
Well, it's very difficult. I mean, there's always so many adjustments during the course of a game and so on. How are you guys going to be able to adjust to that?
We'll probably try to cut down our playbook a little bit and, you know, try to really, you know, we've done a good job of that the last 2 years to try to really just get good at what we do, and we'll just try to do that even more this week, of be really good at, you know, whatever play it might be, and get a lot of reps at it.
All right, let's talk a little bit about the Trinity game on Friday night. We called it an upset in our headline, and we had some people who disagreed about that at VarsityKansas.com. I considered it an upset simply because Trinity has not beaten a team of your caliber before in their history. They have not.
Right.
And they beat you guys, and Tyler Burns, how did he impress you?
His ability to just, you know, he reminds me a little bit of Logan Dold. You know, Logan played 2 quarters and a half back in the day, and, you know, he'd have those types of numbers, but he's very patient, and he sees the hole, and then his explosiveness to just hit that hole. And then he's not easy to tackle. I mean, our kids, we had a lot of kids there, but just didn't make tackles. And you know, with his ability, it's pretty impressive to watch him out there.
Because physically, it's just that he's so strong, in addition to the speed.
Right, yeah. You know, you have some kids that are fast and you have some kids that are strong, but he has a great combination of that, you know, and I'm sure a lot of people will probably see him on Saturday someday.
I would imagine. Let's talk about going forward now. You've had this loss. You're battling injuries. How do you guys go forward from this?
We'll regroup. We got, you know, our linemen are still there. We still have some kids we're trying to figure out who's going to be in the place there at line. But like I said, we're going to try to execute and be really good at what we do this week. And we'll probably cut down the playbook a little bit. But like I said, we got to work on the little things. And that's what I always tell our players. The little things are what makes the big things happen in the games. And we're going to focus more on that this week.
All right. Well, thank you, Coach, for being here, and good luck to you down the line.
Thanks.
All right. Well, let's take a quick look back at Friday night's football, and it was a perfect night again for high school football. I was out at Capon at Sesson Stadium to watch Heights play Capon. You know, I gave the edge to Capon in this game, or to Heights rather, in this game for one reason, is that, well, first of all, they're both very talented, and they're well coached, but Heights is showing against Dodge City in the previous week their ability to shut down Kellen Newton, a very good quarterback, and to shut down that offense is why I gave them the edge. And for the most part, they were able to hold Capon in check. But Capon's offense, with Brock Monty leading the way, did just what it needed to do, just enough to move the ball and keep it going and get in the end zone. The key, though, was Capon's defense, because Heights has some really good running backs with a lot of speed, but yet Capon was able to keep them from just getting into the end zone with a 50-yard run, which is what these guys are capable of doing. Heights had a couple big runs, but Capon's defense really just held them down, and it was an impressive showing for Capon. And I'm very curious to see Capon in 2 weeks against Bishop Carroll. That game right there is going to be the one you're going to want to watch, because those are probably the two best teams in the City League. However, we saw Carroll really tested on Friday night when they played West High. West High goes in there with a 3-0 record. Remember, this is the West High that struggled for years to even get anywhere near 500. Weston Charts has turned that program back around just like he did once before, and they were leading 10-0 at the half against Bishop Carroll. You know, that says a lot about their program. Yes, Carroll comes out and they do win that game, as they should have won that game, but West High is now clearly one of those teams you have to reckon with. Let's look at Rose Hill. Rose Hill gets their first win. Double overtime win over Winfield, an unbeaten Winfield. That's a good win for them. They've had a tough schedule so far, so I'm thinking that they're going to be able to turn that around. Collegiate gets their second win, beating Wellington. And let's talk about Heston. Heston here is unbeaten, and Ryan Shadler tore it up again. I teased him on Twitter that, yeah, the reason we need to come to this game is they play Kingman, and it could be for the league title. But can he really top what he did last week? He went over 400 yards. He had over 300 the previous week. The kid is just tearing it up. This week we also have Andover Central. Can't beat the crosstown rivalry. Andover Central did lose to May South, though, on Friday night. Andover is still unbeaten. Conway Springs is at Trinity. This is probably where I'll be. I really want to see both of these teams, and this matchup right there, both unbeaten. It's going to be good, and I bet it will be over by 8:15, hour 15. That's about right. They run the ball a lot. It'll be a quick game. Also, Hutchinson is at Salina South. Hutchinson gets back on board again on its winning with last week with a win after losing to Rockhurst the previous week. Salina South, where is this team going to go? How are these two teams going to react against each other? I think it's going to be a really good matchup. Well, thank you so much for watching the VarsityKansas.com Big Show. Of course, check out the Wichita Eagle all week for high school coverage and our 8-page football section on Saturday. It's awesome. Those pictures are amazing. Every time I look at it, I'm just amazed at the pictures and all those stories in there. Check out my live chat on Wednesday. It'll be from 1 to 2 p.m. And if you want to check out recent stories, such as the classification story about Heights dropping down to Class 5A, cannot believe it. Mays is down to 5A in football, and Mays South moves up in football. So check out those stories there. Feel free to, you can connect with me on VarsityKansas.com, Twitter at Joanna Chadwick, or on Facebook. Have a great week.